Broadcasting from Watts Creative Studios and live on Grove Street FM. You're listening to Cool Talk Live, brought to you by Brown's Heating and Air, with your host, Brandon Brown.
Good morning on this snow-covered Bedford County day. We still got some snow here from Sunday. Hope everybody's had a safe couple days getting to and from work if you've had to work, and we got more coming this weekend. It's sad though that snow cut Woody's Outer Banks trip short.
It sure did.
Anytime. Oh,
We cut it a day short.
man,
Yeah.
going to the beach and have to come home early, to miss the trap, which is a smart idea because it was ice everywhere.
Oh, it was. We kept looking at the map, right? And don't give it like the condo we were staying in was absolutely gorgeous, the view. But we ended up leaving Saturday.
And you're supposed to leave Sunday.
But we saw that it was going to start early Sunday morning, and I'm glad we did because we woke up Sunday and it was. I mean, it would have taken us 2 days to get home.
Yeah, man, that sucks when I might have just stayed at the beach for an extra week.
I'm going to be honest with you, because I had an event I thought I was going to do Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I was borderline going to book 2 or 3 more days, right? But then I had to get back for this event, which ended up getting canceled by the time I got back. So
why they should have let you know.
Well, it transitioned to a different type of event, but it was like one of those things. If that had been our condo and I had my computer there, I would still be there this week. I'd still be there today.
Yeah, we'd be podcasting from the beach.
That's right. You'd have to zoom it in
and going live from out. Yeah, you can't. Oh man, I love the beach. Leaving the beach, having to leave early, really.
Oh, and it was a beautiful. I mean, this condo.
I saw your video, the picture of the sunrise. It was beautiful. The ocean looked calm.
Oh, it was wonderful. That's the part. But see, because it's freezing outside, so that view, condo is at a good price.
Yeah.
But in season, it's like triple that.
Yeah.
So.
Now this is the best time to go to the beach. I love it. In the winter.
The only thing that we started noticing was a lot of the restaurants now
they closed off season.
Yeah. We had one of our favorites were still open, but they were closing actually Sunday for the season. So we just got them. So like really 90% of the restaurants aren't opening back up till March.
They're closing late. I figured they closed before Christmas.
I know. I was so
they're only a couple months off. They'll be back by I guess Easter be trying to open up.
Well, there was one we love. It's the Sugar Shack. They have the best coconut shrimp. It's just fantastic. Online said it was open. But when we got down there, they'd already closed. And I was like, come on. That was one of the reasons we wanted to go because we love that restaurant. So, but it's all right.
You'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll go back.
Yeah, it's I'm surprised DW doesn't have you a VIP plowed spot from the road in here to park. And I slid in on about 6 inches of ice. But
I did that for y'all so y'all could donut, have fun out here.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing some. We're gonna probably have an ice hockey game after this.
You could in
the parking lot, but in all seriousness, I'm gonna tell you what, the town of Bedford did an awesome job at clearing the roads. The roads here, everything, the back roads out. I think I saw something on their site the other day. They had 24 people to do 165 streets. They put down over like 55 tons of salt or something. But I mean, the sidewalks, the town. They jump on it. DW them do it. That DW runs that part.
He does, and he was sending me updates when they were doing it. And I think what people don't understand is they work around the clock. Like DW goes in before it starts, and he's literally sleeping on a cot for probably 2 days.
Oh my god!
And then they work around the clock, and they had the streets done. And then they do all the sidewalks and, start working on the parking lots. And I mean, the next day, town of Bedford was beautiful. Like, I mean, they do a fantastic job.
They do it. They do it quick. And everywhere did. But this was the horrible part. This storm, it was snow. And then it transitioned to sleet so fast.
Yep.
Once it sleeted and hardened up, you can't push it.
No.
If you didn't get to it early, it's now like even my driveway is a solid sheet of ice. You can't do nothing with it.
No.
And it's going to stay around. We got more coming. So y'all definitely be careful. And also that helps on some heating and air tips I was going to bring up today. Those of you that, if you're first following us, I hope you're following us on all your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Android. We're on there for Cool Talk. We do a lot of local interviews around here for local businesses. We always, because we support 100% shopping local. So you'll hear a lot of that on if you go back and look at our history of podcast. But we also do, a lot of heating and air updates and tips and stuff. But this weather, definitely keep an eye on it. If most 90% of people in this area have heat pumps, so in this weather, sometimes the older they are, it's harder to keep up. But definitely check them. When it snows and ice, go out, make sure you knock when it's not running. You knock the snow off the top, the ice, clear if it's mounded up around the outside of your outdoor unit, around the exterior, get that snow away so the air can breathe through it, get the ice off the top. We have a lot of service calls this week that could be prevented where ice will, get on the blades and get them off balance and make your motors go bad or clog up the coils and freeze your unit up. So keep the snow away from them. If you can, when it's not running, knock the ice off. Try to avoid pouring really, really hot water on it if it's already frozen, because it is a lot of some metal and different coppers in there that you don't want to do extreme change on it. But we were out sleigh riding, I think Monday, and I heard my neighbors come on, and I could just hear the ice in the unit it was just vibrating and rocking. So I went over there and pulled the disconnect, knocked the ice off, and plugged it back in, and she was fine. But he wasn't far away from a motor burning up. So
you're a good neighbor.
Yeah, I thought
people like being your neighbor.
Yeah, I said I'd text him. It was his birthday anyway. I said, well, I got your birthday gift. We fixed your heat pump. Kept your heat pump from blowing up on you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's you got to keep an eye on that. And that's what I tell people in the spring when we clean them. when you're mowing the grass or weed eating, blow the grass away from the unit. But that's the same thing with snow. Keep it so it can breathe and knock the ice off, so that way you can prevent expensive service calls, because that stuff will ruin a motor or a blade or a coil in a heartbeat. And especially next week, I think we got some really low temperatures coming. I think the highs are going to be in the 20s for a few days next week. We're stuck in the global warming here.
I know we went from 70. It was 70 in December.
Yeah,
summertime. Then all of a sudden, the next day, boom! You remember that the winter's here?
Winter's here. Yeah. As soon as the Weather Channel or the local weather were saying, "Yeah, we're not going to get much snow this winter," boom! Yeah. Oh, here we are. So just prove you wrong again. So definitely with the temperatures, if you have an older heat pump, really old and is struggling now, when it gets cold, I would go ahead and put it on emergency heat at night when it's getting real cold. That does a couple things. One, it keeps the outdoor, them older heat pumps, if they're not really efficient, once you get down below 25, 30 degrees, they lose a ton of efficiency and they need to back up heat anyway. So instead of that thing running hours and hours and hours trying to maintain, switch it to emergency heat, go ahead and get the electric heat inside going and leave that outdoor off until it warms up. And that way, a lot of people call and say, well, I don't want to do that because my electric bills will be through the roof. Well, you'd rather your system go to emergency heat and actually satisfy than your heat pump running nonstop and the electric heat coming on and off. You're actually spending more in your electric bill then.
Yeah.
So the backup heat source is what you need. And if you have a gas backup, if you put it on emergency, you get that gas heat, which is a whole lot hotter, and you'll definitely keep your house warm. Yeah. So definitely look at that for the colder temperatures coming up. There's still time to get them maintenanced. We have membership programs. Definitely need to get on one if you're here local in Central Virginia. We come out twice a year, clean your units inside and out. We try to find these things before the weather hits really hot or really cold, and give you some advice and pointers, because we don't want people to break down. Yes, we're in it to fix them and replace them, but I don't want people stranded with no heat in the winter. If it's something minor we can fix ahead of time or now before the next storm, it's cheaper to do it now and prevent it than to find something, because there is getting harder and harder to find parts. We've had issues, like everybody else with COVID, getting parts and getting materials. So it's something we can kind of prevent and adjust before we get to that point. That way you have heat in these cold times. So give us a call for your membership 434-610-4373. Ask about the membership. There's a lot of benefits to that. We're getting ready to add some newer benefits to that I'll be kind of advertising soon once I get the details ironed out.
Ooh, breaking news.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want any local competition listening and taking my idea. This idea is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's outside of the box.
Yep.
We're thinking outside of the box with this one.
Okay.
It's going to be, I think people are going to love it.
Nice.
It's going to be an added benefit and no extra cost too. We're taking this
that
on.
doesn't happen in life anymore.
No extra cost. We're not raising our plan prices. We're not adding anything to the fees or nothing. This is just something cool we want to do for customers that become members for, at Brown's Heating and Air. And I don't want to give the details yet because if I see someone steal it, I'm gonna be mad.
By the time you get on the road home, you'll see a billboard with it up,
like advertising.
That's right.
Advertising. Wait a minute, this is our new benefit, and then they'll be stealing our. That wouldn't go good. But yeah, get your systems checked and maintained. Even though it's snow on the ground now, it's always a good time to do them. A lot of people think we need to do spring, fall only. We do them year round. We have people that clean systems year round. We can check them, whether it's still snow on the ground or cold or hot, it doesn't matter. So get on the annual routine checks. I guess, Woody, you'll have one coming up soon.
I do, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because ours hit about the same, we had 2 new units, which are fantastic, by the way. They've kept us
kept you warm.
Kept us warm because we used to have gas heat, and which it felt really good. But we had an incident where something happened with the pipe, and it put soot all over the lower level of our house. So we had to redo the bottom level of the house. We had to paint everything. We had to redo the floors, everything. It was a hassle. So we ended up just doing away with it. And we have like a little electric insert. So, for a while we had gas heat, which was good. And then the 2 older units.
Right.
And then we had a period of time where we didn't have gas and we had the older units. And it was just like, you could never get the house warm.
No,
you really couldn't. Like you would sit on the couch and just be like, I'm still cold. Like, and then sure enough, we got these 2 new ones and it's like, yeah, we had to throttle it back the other day. It was great. So.
And that's what saves your energy.
Yep.
And there's some things too around your house you need to do. I tell a lot of people when it gets real cold and windy, like we had the other day, even though you have a newer house, take a towel and put it on the inside bottom of your doors. Your main doors coming in, because there's always a gap there. When your unit comes on, you're going to suck air into your house. There's no way of stopping it. So take a towel, put it at the bottom of your doors to block some air. Check all your windows because, newer windows make a huge difference. You can check insulation in your attics and your basements. And, if you haven't done that in a while, in an older house, that will settle. You can go they can come in and blow 2 or 3 inches in your attic for a few $100, and it makes a world of difference on how much heat you can hold in your house. So some things, there's a lot of tips like that I tell people. Definitely blocking doors, windows that are leaking, try to, seal them off with some kind of tape or towels or something to block that air. That'll make a huge difference as well on the comfort of your house and the ease of your unit. And make sure you're changing your air filter. A lot of people forget that every 30 days you need to be changing your air filter and making sure that's staying clean so that it can, run more efficient, breathe better, keep your vents open, make sure they're not blocked with furniture. We go into so many houses, vents are blocked, furniture, toys, clothes, and they say this room's a little colder. Then you move the stuff and open a vent or unblock the vent and it fixes it. So little stuff like that to save people service calls, save them, time from having to meet service companies for something that they can fix and check on their own and save, from, having us come out and charge them for that. It's a lot of companies, don't bring that up, but I know we're in the business, like I said, to repair and make money off heating and air, but we want to help people out as well, avoid that stuff. And some of that stuff you can do at home. So check your filters. Winter is a big time for gas. If you got gas logs and stuff, make sure your carbon monoxide detectors are working. I did see, I always listen to a scanner when these storms hit, accidents and stuff. There was several calls. People had gas smells in their house and the detectors wasn't going off. It was the batteries were dead or they didn't check them. And that'll kill you.
Yeah, and that's what happened. We did not have any, and then the gas, soot, carbon monoxide. We were all of a sudden we were like, why do we feel so tired and have a headache?
Oh, really?
And then so after that, that made us go get two of the smart carbon monoxide things where they'll send an alert to you and all that stuff. And so it really and it happens quick. It was it happened one night where it was just like we woke up and like, what in the world? Yeah, and that's what it was.
Yeah,
so.
I actually saw a couple weeks ago there was a house fire on the other side of Amherst, and they had it on the news. Actually, one of the homeowners, there was some homeowners there sleeping, but one of them was working third shift, and they had their smoke detectors hooked to their Ring app. They bought one of the Ring ones.
Yeah.
And what saved her husband and the dog's lives was her phone went off before the smoke detectors saying, you have a fire. And she's like, well, let me call. So she called and woke her husband up, and sure enough, the house was on fire.
Oh,
it burned it to the ground. But if she had not gotten the notification, and they got them for gas, they've got them for smoke, that before, I guess, I don't know if the detectors just went off late or they didn't hear them or what, but luckily, she had it, and it was on her phone like, hey, something's wrong at your house.
Yeah.
And she was able to call and get them woken up, and sure enough, the house was on fire.
Yeah.
So, if you got Ring systems or any kind of Wi-Fi, get the smoke detectors, the gas detectors, and something that'll notify your phones and go off in case the battery backup dies. You have some kind of, always have other backup resources that's going to alert you for these dangerous things. We're actually good at looking for these things and these type things that we can recommend when we come to your house to look for your, we don't just come in, clean your heat and air system and go. We kind of try to help the customer out and recommend, hey, you may want to add a detector in this room, or we notice that this room, this unit's getting older. We need to, maybe some extra detectors if it's a gas furnace for carbon monoxide, because once you start smelling that, the furnace could be old and bad and need updating as well.
Yep.
So definitely keep that in mind. We'll be glad to assist anybody who needs help in the area, and check those things out. If you're not in the area and you're listening, check your local trusted dealer and heating and air places and get them there to clean your system, check for safety measures, and keep you up and running more efficiently. So that's a little bit of heating and air tips on that side. The weather coming. I hope everybody's staying warm again. We got a little commercial here first, and we'll come back and talk to Woody about a couple podcasts he's got.
Inside the Trane testing facility, our heating and cooling products are put through 16 weeks of extreme temperature fluctuations to simulate 5 years of wear and tear. But these aren't just seasonal shifts. Inside the lab, it fluctuates between 150 degrees one day to sub-zero temperatures and layers of snow the next. Then back to hot, then back to cold. Then hot and cold. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And we didn't even get through the first month. We test, so it runs. That's why it's hard to stop a Trane.
There you go.
I do have a question for you.
All right.
So I got an air filter question.
Okay.
So, so you see a lot of air filters in like Walmart and stores, right?
Yeah.
First of all, are all air filters created equal? Second, what is the standard that, from your standpoint, that you should have in the house?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question, because a lot of people run out and will buy the cheapest filter they see because, hey, it's the cheapest. It's a little blue thing you can almost put your fingers through, and you can get one too cheap, and you can get one that's too expensive. And what I like is middle of the road. If you actually go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you buy a pack of filters, it's almost like the middle is like a white cotton.
Yes.
And they do have MERV numbers, which is, your MERV 8, 9, and the quality of air. But you want the one about middle of the road. If you have the one that's the cheapest, it lets everything through.
Yeah.
All your dirt, your dust, it gets on your coil, blocks it up. You're going to have issues. You can also get the filters that stop too much.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is, just like when you're driving down the road, if you block your radiator off, you're going to overheat, right? Because you don't want your radiator. Let's say you drive down the road and a bag gets on your radiator and it blocks everything on your air, and then your temperature starts going off and your radiator you'll overheat and have issues. Same thing will happen with your heat pump if you get a filter that stops way too much, because then you'll notice if you go to put the filter in and it sucks it to the wall, and all of a sudden you hear that unit rev up or rev down, and you're struggling, that thing's struggling to breathe, you're going to blow a motor, you're going to blow a compressor. So you can get too cheap and you get too expensive. So middle of the road is good. I always call them, they're called a poly, Poly, or pleated, Pleat, is a good filter. It kind of looks like a cotton in the middle. It's a white thing. It stops just enough dirt and air that your system can still breathe. If you put a filter in, it sucks it to the wall, and you notice a difference in sound and air in your house, it's too thick. If you put it in there and just everything can get by, it's too thin. So about middle of the road, and they've got them at Lowe's in like 3 or 4 packs, and it looks like, just like I said, it's a white filter. Some companies around here sell these permanent filters. I don't sell them, and I will not sell them. They're not good for the system, one. Number two, people think it's permanent. You got to clean them and wash them. And those you have to clean and wash even more, because it's actually so thick that once they're dirty, you start having issues and things break, and then they charge you to fix stuff that could be prevented. So we won't sell them. There are some filters that are really good for allergies that we do, like electronic type filters and different things that are really good for allergens and dust and dander and stuff that are a little thicker than normal. If people have really bad allergies and asthma, we do recommend that. A way it'll just help keep that knocked down, especially in the springtime. But yeah, go mid road. We do keep some at our office off Timberlake. I keep most of the regular sizes in the type we like that we put in with new units, that if anybody ever wants a case or buy a couple of filters, they can call us, and we usually can get a case of 12 to cover you for a year for the same price you can get a case of 3 or 4 at Lowe's. So definitely, if you need something they want, we can provide a year supply for the same price. You're going to go 3 or 4 times or cheaper than you're going to buy them for a year at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Nice.
So we can get any size. We just keep the main basic sizes in stock because they just take up so much room. Yeah. So, well, Woody has is it a new podcast, Why So Cold, or is it one you just revamping?
Yeah, revamped it. Well,
tell us about that one.
It's, back when, it's been like 4 years ago, I did one called Route 29 Stalker, and that was actually my first podcast. And that's where we were kind of just investigating a cold case, and I learned a ton in that. Well, that led to Why So Cold, which is the same. It's a cold case, but we decided we wanted to do an episode a cold case per episode.
Okay.
Well, I did one really good one with a local case here in Bedford, and honestly, business picked up right after that episode, and it just kind of didn't
put it off to the side.
Didn't have time to do it, and for the last, I'm gonna be honest with you, for the last 6 months, creative wise, I've been wanting to dive back into something, right? And you kind of, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? And I kept looking over at this podcast I had that had the one episode had a ton of downloads and an audience of people asking, and it's like, and then I kept looking at cases, and I kept looking at, I love documentaries. I've been binging just true crime documentaries for years. So I was like, what? I think that's the one. I just it's a good, I like the idea. Well, it started off great. So I revamped it, new album art, started new episodes. And actually we've got some other cases that we're going into this coming year.
Nice.
That I'm working with, a couple people on. I'm even working with local law enforcement this time around. So it's great. It's going to be, awesome. I'm really excited.
I've always loved that. Type. Like, I'll watch court TV.
Yep.
And watch the live court case, like the big cases, like the Robert Durst one, Yes. He just died last week.
He did. He just died.
And what's weird? In California and New York have this law, and it really sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was going to appeal, which we know he's a murderer.
We know he did.
But since he's in the appeal process, and he dies with it off, expunged from his record.
Yeah.
So he was found guilty. He was sentenced to life. And since he appealed, and he's in California, he actually dies an innocent man until the appealment process was done, which we all know he was guilty, but it just sucks that he goes down, legally. as still innocent until proven guilty
and
again.
All right, so if you haven't yet, it's I think it was released in 2015. Go watch The Jinx.
Yeah, watch it on Netflix.
Yep. It is fantastic.
Yeah, that dude was.
He is such a unique. Was like, it's just one of those outlandish cases. And we actually finished. When was it? 2 nights ago. Making of a Murderer 2. We hadn't gotten around to the second season of that. And it's so funny because you do. Like, I love true crime and like you said, you watch the documentaries. At the end of the day, the thing that you got to remember with like the victims, right? It's that they don't have a voice and that their stories tend to just get lost. And it's like these cases, when it first happens, there's a ton of news coverage, and there's people talking about it all the time. And then all of a sudden, what you see is like after about 8 months, to a year, and then it just kind of fades. And then about once a year, if you're lucky, the state police or whoever will come out like, hey, we're looking for leads in this case. Yeah. And then that's about as far as it goes. So really, Why So Cold is more of, I don't really speculate in it. I don't give any theories because I'm not an investigator. And I don't have
just trying to bring up and help.
Yeah. You just bring up the case, talk about what is out there, is so that the main thing I noticed with Route 29 was that it got people talking again, and that people start, and that is what solves the case. Yeah, people talking, bring it back shaking up. Some trees, and that's it. So
so it's got to be. You're going to do a local cold case or anywhere in Central Virginia. Is that what you're looking for?
Anywhere Central Virginia within traveling distance. Some episodes, and that's the thing that I like about this podcast is that some episodes will have interviews from family members. Yeah, and then some are just from like news reports.
Yeah, of what they've gathered.
And I kind of put it together in a documentary format. So it's kind of really just a sandbox for me to have different documentaries and
that's awesome.
Kind of dive into.
I love that stuff. I might have to help you on one of them.
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for help.
I like to help you with that because I love investigating. Like right now, if you do watch Court TV in the live, they may start back today. They went on pause last week because of COVID, but there's a boy on trial in Minneapolis or somewhere. He's 22 for killing his parents. He dismembered them. Gosh. Completely down into parts, burnt some of it in his wood fireplace in their living room, and then dispersed it throughout the city like his girlfriend's farm and stuff in trash bags. So I've been watching this one. It's on like week 2, and this dude's, I mean, he ain't getting out of it. I don't know why. His defense really ain't fighting much. It's like, what do you do when you defend somebody? Like, how do you really defend it?
Well, it's like,
because they hadn't even, I'd have been like, dude, he's crazy. Let's file it.
It's like Durst.
Yeah.
Like the murder that got, he went to court for that one, and he got off.
He got off on the one.
Yeah, dismembered this guy.
Yeah,
and so it's like,
and his lawyers have made millions.
Oh my gosh,
that's what it's for. They're just there for the money.
But if you watch a case like Making a Murderer, or another good one on Netflix is Evil Genius, but like Making of a Murderer is like, there are times in it where you're like, I got to figure it out. Then all of a sudden, you're like, nope,
he throws your curve
he's
ball.
innocent. Yeah. And then this season, the last season, wasn't as exciting as the first, but the content was actually more in depth. But it was so interesting to see how the courts work. Like and then you're sitting for one episode, they're explaining the appeals court, this court, and then you see how one person can be falsely accused and just sit in prison for 20 years before they even get to it. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to get it the first time. Yeah. Get it right the first time.
It's crazy. I love watching those cases. I've always been, that was always said my second, if I didn't do heating and air, it was 2 jobs I'd want to do: a sports broadcaster, a commentator, or a investigator, or like a lawyer. Yeah. Just kind of finding the proof, putting it together, trying to prove something, because and it's crazy the processes they go through, because I've been watching Court TV and what they have to go through to actually preserve. You make one mistake, that dude's walks.
That's the case.
They walk.
Yep.
And they're guilty as can be, but you make one mistake and they find it, you're done.
That's it.
It could just be a exclamation point in the wrong spot with you did this wrong and took the picture.
Technicality.
Yeah, technicality, and you're done. So it's crazy. But hey, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for noon for Talk Local to Me with Heather Alto. She's got a special guest today back here on GroveStreet.fm, and I'll see you next Wednesday.